Hey everyone, welcome to another review. This one was a long time coming in the sense that I think recently, was it last week or a little bit while back, I got 100 subscribers, which I'm really happy about and thankful for. And my daughter told me I should do something special to commemorate it, and I was like, well, it's only 100. It's not a big deal compared to the 100 million that some people have, or the 5 million, 8 million subscribers. But she's 10 and she's like, hey, 100 is still pretty special. You should do something to thank the people who are subscribed, or do something a little bit cool. So of course, she's correct when I thought about it, and I am very thankful for the people who actually think some of this stuff is interesting enough to actually subscribe. And I'm happy for that, because that's part of the reason I made the channel in the first place. Part of it is sort of as a video documenting some of the stuff I have, and others because I just happen to have stuff that is pretty rare and I think is pretty interesting. And I think other people have them, but I don't know if they have them and they're willing to share them on YouTube. So I'm again, my purpose in making these videos is not to make money off of them. I don't need YouTube for that, but it's just, again, to share with the greater collecting community and touch base with people who have similar interests, and again, maybe show some things that you might otherwise not see. So what did I, after some thought, decide to do this review on, to sort of celebrate that? It's something that means a lot to me, because in a way it sort of started me on the collecting path. And for some of you who's been looking at this since I started talking a couple minutes ago, you've already figured it out. But this is the kind of the holy grail for many people of Batman collectibles. This is the Randy Bowen original bronze Dark Knight. So the statue game is a very different game, today than it was way back. So a little history lesson. Way back, Randy Bowen was sort of the main man when it came to sculpting superheroes. And for a lot of people, he still is. And back then, he created two statues of the two most iconic superheroes. He sculpted a porcelain Superman, which is known as the Seinfeld Superman. I think there's a little flash of him in every episode in Seinfeld. And then he also sculpted Batman, the Dark Knight, in blue, also porcelain. And these are like two of the most iconic and the most original superhero statues from the day. They were so old that, and statue collecting was in its infancy, such to the point that there were no styrofoam for them. There was no form-fitting styrofoam boxes to protect these porcelain statues. It was essentially literally a cardboard box with some, just foam, literally on the inside, soft foam, and they just put the statue in it, and then they shoved the foam on top of it, and they sealed the box, and they just basically kept their fingers crossed and hoped to God it didn't break. And of course, porcelain-wise, they're porcelain, it did break. There was a lot of Batman statues where obviously, the cape was shattered and all that type of stuff. So those were the two original statues, they were made way back, I think, in the 90s. And finding a complete Batman with the box, the original sleeve around it, is very, very rare. Now, of course, today you have 100,000 Batman statues. Every company makes multiple ones, Sideshow, and of course, Primal Studios owner, I think, is the Dark Knight himself. If you take into account all the different Batman statues that this guy has released, he actually put up a 3rd scale Batman who laughs. So he's living the dream right now if he's a Batman fan, putting all these things out. But again, back in the day, these were the originals. This is much smaller. It's only 1/6 scale. Hopefully you can tell that just by looking at my fingers as I'm turning him around. And after the original porcelain Batman, they put out a limited edition bronze. This is 1/6 scale, which means it's a little bit over 12 inches, and it weighs like 20 pounds. Super heavy. You can actually hear it, ring. I mean, this is a bronze statue, and bronze is fine art. That's very different from the sort of things that you collect. They're very difficult to make, to fire, to put together. They're very heavy. They have to be polished. There is a art to making great bronze pieces, and they can't make a whole lot of them. So this is number 17 out of 250. And this is kind of like, for me, my personal holy grail of collectibles. It's the only bronze I own in my entire collection. And I have some amazing pieces that I love. And this, it's so small. I mean, you're going to put him next to a 1-to-1 Harrison, Han Solo, Harrison Ford as Han Solo in Carbonite. And you're going to put him next to a 1-to-1 Arnold Schwarzenegger as a battle damaged Stage 5 Terminator. But when you put him by himself, he still dominates. And it's just because of a whole bunch of reasons. But I'll start with the backstory, which is that I first saw this amazing, Dark Knight when I went to the Puzzle Zoo in Santa Monica with, one of my friends. At the time, we were both, I think, medical students at UC Irvine Medical School. And it was the late 90s. We're just sort of, hanging out Santa Monica, walking around, and we walked into the Puzzle Zoo, which is like this high-end toy store, collectible store in Santa Monica, which is kind of browsing. And I remember seeing this thing, behind display glass, and it was just breathtaking. I'm not even a Batman fan, but I just looked at that and I was just like completely, utterly blown away at how beautiful that piece is. This is the iconic Dark Knight, kind of on the gargoyle overlooking the city, and it just showcases his intensity so well. Again, everything is bronze. You can hear it as I tap it. He has a little bit of coloration underneath the cowl. Look at the fist, just sort of, closed, kind of the brooding menace, and then that amazing cape, kind of just completely wrapping his body around it, floating in the air in the night breeze. You can even see it over the foot right over here, and it's just kind of completely covering the gargoyle's base. It's just phenomenal, very, very dominating. And of course, in one of the iconic poses of the Dark Knight is him crouching over the city top, over the gargoyle. It's been done to death so many times. But remember that, Bowen was first with this pose, with this amazing sculpt. And that's kind of the problem, right? When you watch Citizen Kane and you watch Casablanca, sometimes those movies don't get the respect they deserve because they're so cliche. They're so cliche, and people's like, oh, come on, it's such a cliche movie like Casablanca. And they forget that every single thing they see today that makes the original cliche is because that was the one who created all the cliches. It was so famous and so good. Basically, Casablanca made all the cliches we still see today in 2018. And again, this is sort of like the lord of the cliches. He's the one who started all of it. There's not a lot of ridiculous muscular anatomy. As someone who obviously knows something about anatomy, who went through medical school as a resident, and as a head neck surgeon, some of the anatomy that you see, the muscles, is just, it's just a little bit just over the top. I don't like seeing muscles on muscles on muscles. I don't like seeing 85 different little lumps on a naked body. So this is not like that. He's anatomically just very laid back. You don't see writhing pec muscles and veins all over the place that's popping out. He is very, he just looks really, like a gymnast, flexible. He's not over the top, and he's just sitting there. His cloak is actually covering all of his his body. It gives you this brooding menace, and this kind of sense that he really is overlooking Gotham City. Nothing escapes his vision. You can see the whites of his eyes, that kind of intense expression right over here. And when I put on the flash later on, hopefully we can see some of this a little bit better. So I really love that. It's hard to see here, but once I put the flash on, you'll see that this is actually a very, very like dark gunmetal blue. And so again, old school, not showing everything. It's more about the pose and the emotion of the piece than, again, the rippling anatomy and trying to overwhelm you with anatomical detail. And I think that's being lost a little bit in modern, I think, statue making, where it's all about size. And prime one is like, okay, let me give you another 37-inch, 1/3 scale Batman from this obscure comic or an Arkham game or another color variation, a gold version, a Batman Beyond version. And we're going to show you every single rippling muscle, every nipple, every vein. Okay, I know people who love them, and that's fine, and it has its place. But sometimes when you look at this, it reminds you of what is old school art. Okay, and kind of just the flow of all of that, and the elements, the illusion of motion, the cape blowing in the wind, and how the cape would lay on his body. So when I saw this at the Puzzle Zoo with my friend, both of us just kind of stared in awe at this thing. And, my first instinct was, oh man, I really want to have it. I want to get this. It's so amazing. And then we looked at the price tag and it was like $2,000, which, when you're a medical student, $2,000 might as well be $2 million. So, it was crazy. And so we looked at it, we admired it, and then we just left. But that moment at Puzzle Zoo back in the late 90s when I was in medical school, that never left me. And it left such an indelible impression on me. And, life moved on. I did my training. I collected other things. And when I finally finished all of my training and I got back, on eBay, I finally saw an opportunity to get him. And I did buy him. Amazingly, for about $2,000. I don't think I paid too much more. Again, when you have a collectible that starts off at such a high price point, it doesn't really appreciate too much more. And back then, he wasn't the most popular, so I did get him for $2,000. He came in, a custom box. Again, these things from the old days, they don't have, again, color boxes or anything special. It just came in a custom padded box. Bronze is pretty hard to damage. You can do it, but it's pretty hard to do so. And he's been with me ever since, probably for 11 years. And I don't intend to ever sell him. After all this time, he still is my absolute favorite Dark Knight. I don't own another Batman statue. I recently pre-ordered, I think, the new 52 Batman, the one where he's sort of like in mid-jump with the claw or the grappling hook. I really love the anatomy and the motion in that one. But this is the only Batman I have until I pre-order that. And what more do I need when I have him? I have, by the way, the original porcelain as well, to kind of compare, side by side. I never got rid of that one either, even though it went in price, fluctuated from $900, $1,000 down to $400. I never sold him. He's with me to this day in my display cabinet, and the original box with the sleeve is still in my garage. So, what can I say? I think I've gone on and on long enough about this amazing piece. I think the word grail is overused in today's statue collecting world. Everything's a grail. And I think sometimes it's just kind of used to denote either something that's very expensive or something that is very rare, or just used to describe essentially a piece that somebody just really, really wants and can't have. But stuff like this, these are grails. Just like the individuals out there, the lucky individuals who own the original Spider-Man, Hulk, and Captain America bronzes from Bowen. I mean, those are old school grails, fine art bronzes. And until you own one of these in person, or you see one of these, or touch one of these in person, and you lift it and you feel that 20 pounds, it's really hard to sort of, convey the experience that this shows. And if this was on a pedestal, it could easily belong in a museum. So, again, I know that I've in the past made a few controversial comments on Bowen and time passing him by, but I do give respect where respect is owed. There's nothing quite like him, like Randy Bowen, when he sculpts one of these classic superheroes. So there you go. There's not a lot of these guys out there. With the passage of years, a lot of them have found their permanent homes. If you're able to get one of these, don't hesitate if you have the funds, because you'll never regret it. He is a true museum piece, and I don't see a lot of YouTube videos talking about this piece that much. There's just not many of them out there. You got to own one, and again, you got to be willing to share on YouTube. So again, I wanted to thank all of the 100 subscribers, and hopefully, even for the ones who don't care much about statues or superheroes, I hope you can sort of appreciate the beauty of something like this. So for the next segment, I'm going to turn on the flash, and let's see if the flash can bring out a little bit more to appreciate. So here we go, flash on. Let's just get right down to it. You can see the bronze here. Again, $17/250, very classy marble base. So this whole thing here is bronze here. You hear it, kind of the metallic ring as I tap it. The blue is so dark that it's almost black. Okay. And then I'm going to do something. I'm just going to get rid of the black background. I think without the black background, you can tell the blue a lot better. You can see my kitchen too, but again, here he is. I think the black sort of sucked up all the color out of him. So anyways. The original Dark Knight. He was literally like the biggest purchase I ever made, the first really, really big purchase I made after finishing residency. And my wife was kind enough to allow me to buy him. So I'm still very grateful for that. Again, you can kind of see the foot, the shadow of the feet here and here as he's leaning on that gargoyle, looking over his city. Yeah, I had a lot to learn. When I went to try to find him, and I first went on eBay to search, I saw all of these porcelain Batmans, and it was the exact same pose. And enough time had passed that I wasn't quite sure what I was looking at. And I was like, wow, this is a lot cheaper than I thought. And finally, when I got it, it was like, oh my God, it's the porcelain one. And later on through research, and at the time there were no Facebook, right? Facebook didn't exist back, I don't think, in the late 90s. You had to go on the forums, and that's when I realized, oh my God, there's a bronze version. That's the one that's like, thousands of dollars. The statue, while beautiful in its own right, was a lot less rare. So yeah, there's quite a bit of sticker shock, again, when you figure out what you're dealing with essentially. All right. He's so special. I actually took my screen down to show you my kitchen, just to kind of show you again the brilliant colors coming out. he's hard to display too, because again, you know, he needs to be displayed from a higher position so you can really appreciate him brooding over you. If you just do it like this, you know, you don't quite get the same effect. He's looking down. So again, he demands quite a lot. So thanks again for everyone who's subscribed. Hope you are again enjoying some of these rare things and rare toys and collectibles I've been making videos on. And until next time, take care.